like they've had some issues in draft, and also obviously had some massive issues in their series going up against Honor Life Esports, so wouldn't be surprised if they've kind of reevaluated and have a bit of a different prior from what we've seen so far.
I really hope so, and that's for me what T1 needs to prove tonight is they've made bigger adaptations than what we saw against T+, a much weaker opponent. Now, for Gumayusi, the focus has been outside of his Senna, which he's now banned away. Lucian, Kalista, Varus. Those are basically the only picks he is playing right now. He's lost the Kalista, he's lost the Lucian, and if you give Viper the Varus early, Guma's not the type of player who likes to play Zeri into that. He's played Zeri one time this entire season. He's 0-1 on the pick. So a really easy way to draft this for Hanwha Life is to try to focus, limit the champions he can play, and then say, well, you're going to play Varus into my Zeri, or I'll just take the Varus away.
Well, this is a lot less focus on Peanut than we've seen for a lot of other players, a lot of other teams. The Rek'Sai is going to be banned, though, and this is what I was going to talk about. If you're going to talk about homework to be taken away from the first series for T1, for me, it was Rek'Sai and it was Nautilus. This time, the Nautilus is left up. Archery is going to be the focus, as we can see here. Varus going to be locked away first up for Viper. But I think that if T1 can get rid of the Nautilus and they've banned away the Rek'Sai, then I'm giving them ticks. You know, like the little red ticks on the homework, that's coming straight up.
Yeah, looks like we're going to be able to get their hands on the Vi. It was interesting, we're having the Ash, seen Ash Rumble be a really strong duo, but not committing to that yet. And again, as you said, Zeri not being as popular for the side of T1. They also have had these tendencies to go in different directions early for the draft. We see a lot towards AD carry, but they're going to commit to this Taliyah. A strong combo with the Vi, obviously, point-and-click CC combined with the knockback has a lot of value here. And Honor Life Esports can just look to match mid-jungle in these next few picks.
Now, I think the Azir is a very likely pick, even though Taliyah has been kind of a soft counter to it. It's been one of the biggest responses. However, it's Deca! Now we're just going straight into Sejuani here and the Yone. And now the problem with T1 picking up this Taliyah early is you don't get to have a strong bottom duo anymore. It is going to be split, best case scenario, and unless you've got a really strong secret plan for that bottom lane prepared, you're going to be limited further in the second banning phase. So let's see what they decide to go with here, as it's not an easy call.
I think Nautilus being still up and available, they could lock that one away, but this makes a lot of sense. The Rek'Sai has already been banned. I think it's the only thing that has survived lane against the Twisted Fate, and especially Zeus' Twisted Fate. So it does make some sense here. They can now ban away the Jax. Counter-Strike has worked in the past, even if Jax isn't necessarily the laner that he used to be. And so we'll just see what their focus is going to be moving into the next round of picks.
And you know, it has been a trend for T1 to put all that focus towards Zeus, you know, and Sherry's the good matchup and obviously banning away the counters now, but the AD carry pool is heavily getting thinned out now. And into Varus, you know, so much presence in the laning phase, the fact that you have that advantage in range, have that poke pressure, it is going to be problematic, so we'll see what they opt for. The Ashe is still something that's available if they want to try to go something like the Ashe Rumble, but we'll see. Jinx is an option.
Oh, the Draven, another pick that we have seen Guma play. It's his debut pick back from the Worlds qualifiers so many years ago. Looking to lock the Rakan here potentially, just see.
Really don't like
neither of these feel great for T1, and it feels like this is the issue I had with committing to the Taliyah here is Faker has a massive champion pool, but now you're putting Guma on the Zeri, his second Zeri of the season. And he has just not normally been very comfortable on this pick. He's not a bad Zeri player, but he often avoids it. This is not T1's playstyle. Yeah, you have a strong top side now. You can play through a little bit here. But it's going to be scaling bottom, and that has never been, for the last 2 years, T1's MO.
The difficulty, the Ashe Varus up and available here if Hanwha Life Esports would like to go for
with Sejuani as well. It feels amazing here.
Yeah, and so much pressure, so much engaged potential. And the fact that, you know, for me, you know that Viper and Delight are going to have huge value when it comes to team fights. They are just those players. But to also give them a laning phase where they're going to have the pressure advantage definitely feels like a bit of an issue. I mean, there's so much dive potential with this Hanwha Life Esports composition. Yes, you have the TF and the Taliyah who are decent at keeping threats at bay, but I feel like there's just so much overwhelming engaged potential from the side of Hanwha Life Esports.
I think for T1, your best bet with this composition is to snowball early, and it is a Zeri comp, but we can have some of those moments around the early objectives, the early Herald fights, the early Dragon fights, where you can get Gumayusi online by setting up big Vi ultimates into some shoves from Faker. Maybe Guma gets a kill or two, he comes online early, and you just become too big to fail. Otherwise, his composition kind of does two different things for T1. On one hand, you have great engagement, it's not burst damage follow-up you have with this Zeri pick, And the re-engage and the disengage potential here for Hanwha is insane, because if they go in with the Vi ult into gold card, the Talia wall hits Cassante, for example, bam, Rill comes back in, Magnet Storm comes down, the re-engage is so fantastic, they have so much damage they can layer on top of this. T1, I think, can win in the late game, even if they go even, but ideally they'd like to win a lot of mid-game fights and start to snowball this game so quickly that Azeri becomes too big to fail.
Yeah, I think if you get to the late game, there's just an element of finesse that you're going to need. You're going to need to have so much control over every fight. You need to have the vision set up. You're going to be on objective first and be able to see where everyone's coming from, because the fact that you have multiple threats who can look to aggress on your backline, if you're not able to lock them down with TF, with Talia and Ravel Dearth, you're really going to start having issues, especially this Yone. We've seen Zeka have such fantastic presence of this champion, and with the backing of picks like the Sejuani, like the Rel, who can really set you up just to knock them down.
And the thing that I'm worried about here for T1 fans is the fact that Hanwha Life Esports are all on their comfort style and comfort champions. T1 gonna have to come out swinging here in game number 1. Let's get under the rift for the first one.
하나생명 하나 둘 셋.
미니언 생성까지 30초 남았습니다.
하나 둘 셋.
Oh my goodness, the KSPO Dome erupting in cheers as T1 and Hanwha Life Esports do make their way out onto the rift. And here we are for the very first game. I think when we're discussing the draft battle, I think we can be pretty confident that Hanwha Life has come out somewhat on top.
I agree. I think there's a lot of ways for T1 to make this work, and it does feel like they got half of what they wanted. It's just that Gumayusi Zeri that does kind of stare at you, feeling like, all right, well, Hanwha clearly knew you like to avoid this. They put you into this awkward position. Now you're playing Zeri Rakan, and a very uncomfortable matchup here into a Varus lane. And I do feel like that gives a ton of agency. Plus the comfort picks you already mentioned does give a pretty massive edge to Hanwha Life.
And the mounted engage combo here of Delight and Peanut.
And a lane swap.
Oh, this is a little bit clever. I feel like it's somewhat topical these days as well, as we do see Viper moving towards the top side of the map. And this is not unheard of either, to just randomly play your Varus in a different lane.
Yeah, it's a bit interesting though, because we have seen this strategy. We've seen it in the LEC. Oh, Zeus.
Oh, there's a crash down on top of Zeus as well. He's lit on fire. Delight making his way in. Viper trying to get that last couple of autos. But Zeus is going to be able to make his way out. No teleport, remember, as well. And now doesn't have Ghost.
This is a huge win because you know there's no teleport on the Twisted Fate, so you can get this win, and the fact that he has to back even almost feels worse, you know? If you die, you give the gold. If you live, you have to back and then walk all the way back, and this is so fantastic into a level 1 Twisted Fate. The one lane where you do have a little bit of an extra edge, obviously, is that Twisted Fate range advantage. They won't have it anymore. Now Keria gonna come up here to try to support, but even Peanut starting topside Krugs here means Zeus just out of the game for a while.
Yeah, I mean, that's one thing with the TF is we've seen, you know, as I said, a lot of lane swaps in the LEC. We've seen it in the LPL. And often you can kind of have...
Oh, there's the flash forward with the crash down from Delight. Gold card has come on through there as Keria going to make his way over as well. But now 0 summoner spells and no way to get to this lane. Zeus, you saw, just missed out on a full cannon. The whole experience gone. This wave is also going to be gone as well.
Yeah, he's still got no CS. And the thing is, with Twisted Fate, you want to farm and get the extra gold from your CS. So missing out so heavily in Hanwha Life Esports, not even allowing Zeus to play lane 1v1, just really putting him in an uncomfortable spot right now.
Oh, Keria making his way in as well. Speaking of uncomfortable spots, that's where Zeka is as well in this first blood as Oner comes on over and is going to be able to take that one down. So T1 on the board despite the disasters of the top lane.
The question is, though, is this going to be enough to actually stop the damage that was already taken? You can see T1 take a gold lead here, but it's free farm on the top side. Zeka does have teleport, can get straight back to lane here. Faker going to be burning his as well. And yes, you end up getting that first blood gold here, but the damage has certainly been done. And I don't think this really undoes the fact that Zeus is sitting at level 1 and is still, you know, just camped up here on the top side. No one's bailing him out. Keria's still level 1 as well. This game may end soon if they don't change things up.
Yeah, you know, Keria has 1 CS and Zeus is behind that. He's just walked up. There's still no farm for him to take. He's just not even touched a minion at this point. Okay, 1 farm from the ward. He got the ward. So, yeah, this is just such a horrible position to be in for Zeus right now. And you can see on the bot side, Duran is just, you know, he is down in farm in this matchup, but he's kind of just vibing.
You just have to be up against your direct opposition. That is the main thing, and I think he was doing better than Zero at that point in time on the bottom side of the map. It's really kind of clever from Harmonic Esports, but still, T1 being able to pick up that first blood, definitely important. We're going to check it out again.
Yeah, so this is just, of course, 3 members stacking onto Zeka here, who went for his Q3, so doesn't really have anything but flash here. Oner will flash to guarantee the kill. Pretty simple setup here, but the cost is so heavy. 4 in mid for a player who has teleport just feels so bad as Zeus now hits level 3 here at 5 minutes. And this is just such a disaster here for T1 in this early game. Now, Zeri getting some additional experience, obviously bottom side, and does have a lead over Cassante. They're going to have to turn that into a team fight win here. These upcoming Dragons potentially to get back into this game. Otherwise, this is just rolling down the hill so fast, this snowball.
And the other problem is, because Keria has just gotten no XP, yes, Guma is higher level, but until Keria starts getting some levels himself, you're not going to have an even 2v2, right? We've seen Varus come back to lane with a Dirk. It's a level 2 Rakan who just isn't offering much. So Keria's actually leeching XP from other lanes just to try and catch up, because you won't be able to match up against the Varus and the Rakan unless, against the Varus and the Rel, unless your Rakan has abilities to use.
Well, now you can see you've got Delight moving on over to help Peanut out with this Dragon. First one is going to be a mountain here. We'll see exactly what soul we're going to get as Zeus throwing some red cards out. Doran pretty happy with the fact that he's hit level 6 as Zeus has hit level 4. So the control that you're going to get with a Twisted Fate in this matchup, not really there here.
It's gone completely. And he does have his Ghost back, of course, now, so can relatively safely get out of any engage attempt that Doran has. But this is basically removing the top part of the lane for Doran, putting Zeus out of early game skirmishes. He's still sitting on just that Doran's blade here. And look at what Doran can do!
Yeah, he's just going to go all out. And Zeus, yeah, he does have the Ghost, but Doran's not really finding too many of these Qs, and therefore Zeus is going to be able to run it out. But trading Ghosts here, and also ult does come on through as there's Keria getting stunned up once again. Of course, no access to the quickness here. He's still level 3.
Zeus still doesn't have ult, and he still doesn't have teleport, so you don't kill him, but he's going to be losing even more farm here on the top side. He's essentially removed from game 1 here of the playoffs, and Doran's just going to crash this wave and potentially grab some plates. He would consider the back, but he's looking for some money as well. Yeah,
and the only edge you really have is that level advantage for Guma, but you're not really able to capitalize. You're not able to find an all-in with the level 6 from the Zeri, and it's the Light and Viper who have the pressure in the 2v2, so I feel like you've lost any edge you had in the top lane, but the compensation on the bot side isn't significant enough really for a payoff.
Well, there's an interruption from Delight. Does push Faker over the wall. He has to flash, get himself out of there. And so no ultimate and no flash up here for Faker. Definitely a good move. We do have to talk about the fact that T1 are still ahead in gold. They've still managed to fill up those coffers regardless. But Harmonic Esports are going to have a very explosive mid-game as Peanut steals away the red buff here as well.
Knowing Faker has no flash.
Yeah. Dash does come forward. Zeka does carry a stun back with him as he does rebind the soul, but Yone kind of okay with how things go in this matchup. There is a Q connecting here from Doran, who doesn't have the all-out. Oner turns up once again, but I think this is mainly just to stop Doran from doing too much more. Dash is on forward. You can see Doran unperturbed about this state of the lane.
You just have to kind of babysit Zeus here, and you don't really have the potential to kill Doran, especially if his ult comes up. It's going to be very dangerous, but this is so free for Peanut. 2v2 is unwinnable.
Zeus' face on the player cam as well in that moment. He's just shaking his head. He knows he's not playing League of Legends. He's not allowed. They said no. And, he's just denied additional farm here. Slow walking back to the lane. Look at his experience bar. He's 2/3 to the Destiny. If your Destiny is to the lane and gets all outed again, who cares anyways? We'll just have to back one more time. The lack of teleport here, the cull buy, the saddest cull you'll ever see in an inventory here. As they've just been duped early, the level 1 lane swap. So incredibly impactful here. And yeah, gold lead for T1 still. Part of it, that first blood, but it's diminished quite significantly down to just 200. And a 5v4 game, I think, says it all. If Zeus can't actually get farmed, can't actually be relevant, doesn't matter if T1 maintain a gold lead for now, it's not going to last.
Yeah, Doran just trying to push him away from experience, and that is going to be successful.
The thing is, he has no idea that could be, they're looking potentially for a dive.
Delight is a pretty good bodyguard, but it's 4 versus 2 here towards bottom side of the map. There it is! The sling does come back, but Viper will survive! And the turret is so angry, Zeka is going to move in, he finds the ulti onto Faker, who does survive the engagement. Zeka still just trying to protect his bottom lane. It's working out so far as he unbinds the soul, finds the double knock-up. Seismic shot goes wide. And T1 will not find a kill down here.
Beautiful defense. Oh, they get the kill on a Faker. Beautiful defense from Honor Life Esports. T1 give up on trying to babysit Zeus. Like, we have to make something happen. Bot lane, not only do they not get the kill themselves, but they lose their mid laner as well. It's a disaster for T1.
Now, almost losing more than that, as Peanut was very close to being able to just ult Keria there, prevent his back and take him out. We'll be able to secure the back, but it's a massive win here for T1, or for Hanwha Life rather, in the defense of T1's dive attempt here. Now watch positioning of Delight here and Viper. As you know, the engage is going towards Viper. The first Q doesn't connect, then he ults, and then the shove back gives Viper the space. So Faker pushes him back, uses him additional distance plus the flash there to get away. And then this is a very Zeka moment. We have Zeri modes, we have Zeka modes. Zeka's like, I think I kill all of them. Not quite at this point, unfortunately, especially with Rox and Talia there. But he does put the health bars low so they cannot re-dive. And that's enough to deter this. And then the ward here, Residual Vision, is going to give him the kill.
The W-empowered Q does absurd damage here from Viper, so very nicely done. Able to grab himself a kill as well. And 300 gold is going to be the lead here for Hanwha Life Esports. A much smaller gold lead for what we think the damage done to this game really is. And you mentioned it already, the fact that Zeus is kind of out of this game. The main reason Twisted Fate is picked is to make sure that he can get the other top laner out of the game. And he's receiving a taste of his own medicine here.
And also, whenever you look at total gold, a team with a Twisted Fate should always be ahead in total gold, just because you're getting that free gold from CS. But when you're this far behind, you're not getting as much. Still, Zeus is expected to be getting a bit of gold from that. But you're supposed to be ahead of the curve on this pick. That is how it functions. That's why it is strong. Any situation where you're behind like this just feels so incredibly punishing.
And it's what we used to experience with Twisted Fate when he was a mid laner as well. The way that you would counter it is by, okay, I'll hold that thought as cease and desist does come in. Seismic shove as well, the full combo, but from over the wall, there's Viper. Delight survived for way too long, but now Keria has dove on top of Viper. He's trying to avoid the burst fires, as now the wall is going to come in, and T1, they single out the AD carry, and are we certifying it, Wolf?
I mean, I think I will. It's 2 kills here early for the Zeri, and what I was about to mention before this fight broke out is, yeah, the situation here for the Twisted Fate for Zeus is horrible. We haven't really seen any skirmishes, any fights yet around the Zeri, and this is how I was saying T1's comp can operate. They're so good at early game skirmishes. Hanwha Life Esports here getting a little bit ahead of themselves, trying to set up for this dragon, end up losing the fight. Now they will look to try to secure this now. Oner very far away.
Yeah, Keria is going to get stunned up here. Delight just playing bouncer. We'll try and get Oner out of here. They aren't not going to be able to find it. And Ox, you're right next to me, dude. And we've got a Chemtech Soul. What do you have to say for yourself?
It is what it is, you know. I mean, I love the confidence from T1. If you're playing Sejuani Rel as a duo, you don't expect to be engaged on like this. You don't expect to get Vi-ulted, especially when you're thinking you can just go over the wall. And yes, the Vi goes down, but Keria and Guma, this duo is so mobile. The potential to get onto a pick like Varus is so easy. And they just completely shut Viper out of the fight, he's gone Edge of Night into the Vi. They're trying to avoid the potential of getting ulted, but
I love that.
I feel like there's a lot of things that can potentially break it.
Yeah, the old smite on the way in is, it does make it a little bit difficult for that one to work out. But if that button is down, it does at least put a little bit of a roadblock in the way.
It's not the only thing that can, of course, be blocked by this. You're dealing with Twisted Fate, you're dealing with Talia.
True.
And there are a lot of things that can break it, as you mentioned, but it's going to be quite useful if you end up getting caught by one of those stray abilities, as they are going to be fishing for you. And Zeri deceptively quite strong in early game teamfights, as we've discussed quite a bit. That's why Zeri moment is kind of a meme, as it happens very often. Doran getting plates here, not as valuable as Guma picking up some additional gold. He now has the static shiv, and T1, despite not really having a top laner, are keeping themselves in this game, especially considering the 2 Drake lead leads to a Chemtech Soul. You actually have some additional time for Zeus to catch up. He's going to cash in that call eventually here as well, and will be somewhat relevant as just a CC button in these upcoming fights. Faker's not massively behind either, so T1 hang by a thread, but there's still a thread there.
Yeah, I think it's definitely the saving grace of Dragon, because if it ended up being like a Hextech Soul, I really think the win con is so clear for Hanwha Life Esports. But in this situation, T1 have bought time, which is so valuable for them. And the fact that Guma is this strong already, it just means he has to be respected so much in these team fights. And the thing is, even though there's a lot of engage, even though there's a lot of lockdown from Hanwha Life Esports, not if it's point and click. You know, you have to catch the Zeri, you have to pick off Guma, and if you fail to do so, you will lose a team fight.
That's first turret that goes to Guma as well. You know, Doran was heading down bottom side, opted not to teleport without a lot of vision.
Oh, there's a flash out. Zeus not risking it. I had a feeling that maybe he was going to be able to walk his way out. Definitely one of the best avoidance of CC abilities, but let's play it safe.
I feel like Zeus's summoners per minute already in the series is so high.
Very high. We need to get that stat. We'll have to get someone on it.
Atlas loves that stat.
Oh yeah, it's one of my favorites. That is efficiency as... Ooh, we're not going to find the grand entrance as he's slowed down as well. Seismic Shove is decent. On to Delight. Both of our supports thrown around here a little bit. Keria not really finding too much, and now does put his ultimate on cooldown.
You can see T1 are priced into forcing these engages right now because they know they do have a hole in the top side. And even though the Herald already went over, if you can have that great engage with Keria, Guma gets into the fight, slides in. He is so strong right now that you actually can accelerate the Zeri. So while it did miss and it did look a little bit silly for Keria, you can respect the idea. Now that said, Herald is going to crash here into the mid lane as they try to take out this turret in response.
Yep, that's going to do a decent chunk of damage. Not going to be able to take that one down just yet. Trade back as far as turrets are concerned, as that top one does fall down, and so we've reached basically gold parity once again. 2 Drakes in comparison to about 500 gold here for T1. And so very even here in this mid game. I think, like you guys were talking about, the fact that Gumayusi is so strong, it's a clear win condition for T1. Life Esports, though, they just want to get into these team fights. They want to be able to try to lock down this area. Of course, Magnustorm's pretty good, but so is this. The cease and desist comes in, and Faker and Oner just showing Zeka that this combination of Talia and the Vi is not to be trifled with.
And that's part of the issue as well. Life Esports have 2 carries in their composition. If you target one of them like that, if you do that to Zeka in the lead up to or just at the start of a team fight, suddenly you're dealing with 3 tanks and a Varus, and it isn't that on-hit Varus, so the ability to have that sort of sustained damage in a fight isn't there. So Zeka, he will be challenged like that, I feel, throughout this game, and you can see how easy it was for T1 to pull this off here, but the setup really good, and even having Keria there for the backup, just in case he didn't die in that initial play.
A lot of this is due to vision that T1 set up after that attempted all-in there from Keria after Herald. They had so many wards that, where are Hanwha Life's wards? Where's the vision? Where's the shadowing there for Zeka? He has no one watching out for him, and T1 see their opportunity there. They seize it really well, and there was something set up moments ago. And with that death on Zeka and the faster wraparound here for Oner and Keria towards this dragon, they absolutely can contest. And I feel like with Runins now coming online here for Guma, this is a fight T1 are absolutely happy to take. You know, you think about the Yone, you think about Varus as picks that want to skirmish early into a Zeri before she comes online. She's online so fast, T1 are like, let's snowball this lead. Let's get this Zeri into a position where she's so powerful that nothing matters, not even to Cassante frontline. Zeus still doesn't have teleport, of course, but does have his ultimate online. And T1 with a faster group, it looks like Hanwha a little bit shy on the contest here. Zeka does have ult, does have flash. And they don't have the damage really to start this dragon up without any more control.
Yeah, and the value of the Runans in a fight like this, when you have 4 melee champions in the enemy team, is going to be absolutely monstrous. I think that has to be the game plan. Try and pick apart Guma, maybe try and get some Varus poked down. Both summons available is going to make it difficult. You know, the ult from the Yone, easily dodgeable, but actually it looks like T1, you know, kind of shows you the priority when it is a Chemtech Soul. 5 members upon Life Esports group up, T1 don't even care. They'll just look to get pressure in the side lanes, look to try and cement more for lead, bring Zeus back into the game. Faker is going to teleport out mid, and maybe make a push for this Tier 1.
Yeah, they can actually wrap around here and potentially look to dive Viper. T1 just playing the map way better than Hanwha right now, bouncing their way back into this game so quickly. They won't get the turret, but still a great response here from T1, getting a lot of value out of Hanwha, getting soul point for a soul. As mentioned, that just isn't very heavily prioritized here in the LCK or really anywhere.
Yeah, it's a delayed recovery here from T1, but it is definitely working out. The one sacrifice that they had to make was that soul point. And even though it is Chemtech, it is still a soul, and it is still going to be valuable. We'll see whether that is something that they're going to be able to contest in the next 4 minutes' time. As we can see here, the goal difference really not going too far in either direction. Now T1 finally ahead by, you know, over 1,000. But that doesn't mean that much here at 19.
Yeah, I feel like the team gold isn't as big of a factor as just when you look at the scoreboard and you see the 40 CS lead, the 2 kills in the pocket for Guma. The fact that the gold is 1.5k ahead for T1 when they have a 60 CS deficit in the top lane really says everything.
Yeah.
You know, I can't imagine a bot lane going worse, an early game going worse than it did for Zeus. and yet they still have a team gold lead. So Hot and Life Esports definitely need to find a way to figure that one out. But it feels like the pressure has gone over to T1. They're the ones setting up vision. They're the ones getting control. On the top side of the map, they'll take away this blue. But when Baron does spawn in 30 seconds, they're the ones with vision in the area. And I think something that's a big aspect of this composition is the ability just to get picks. You know, the engage potential from a lot of these champions, but also, you know, things like the Talia and the Vi, the vision potential and the stun card from Zeus, all big threats if someone's out of position from Hanwha Life Esports.
And for Hanwha Life, they haven't been able to set up real team fights. They're just getting run around the map by T1. A lot of the time when you have a composition like what T1 have with Talia, with Twisted Fate, it's just because they have semi-global ultimates, but T1 are just making better decisions. They're playing around vision better right now, and Hanwha Life have lost their firm grip on this game very quickly, and now to set up 5v5s on their terms is so scary against this really fed Zeri. Death cap almost done here for Faker as well. Has gone that second item here. This Talia does massive amounts of damage, especially to turrets and sides as well. So T1, they're not letting go of this game anytime soon. And Hanwha Life need to win a decisive team fight with a strong re-engage with the Rel Yone, or T1 may just run away with this despite not really having a top laner. And what a demoralizing loss it would be for Hanwha to start this series off with such a great start, such a dominant top performance, or lane swap leading to a top deficit, and then to still lose out in the mid game.
And I feel like we're kind of on the cusp of some big spikes coming in for T1, which will really be the signal to starting to look for, you know, either a setup to potentially get this Baron, or just a team fight in general. We're 2 minutes away from that Dragon, which would be Soul, and Faker's very close to having that Rabadon's completed, and Zeus also close to having the rapid fire cannon finish. Had just stacked up his call. Second item comes in for Oner, so a lot of strength across the board, and I think it's a clear signal that they'll want to make something of this next Dragon fight.
Yep, you can see the last Whisper also done for Gumayusi, so he's heading towards that Lord Doms as item number 3. If he does manage to get that before the next big fight, then my goodness, he is going to be so much stronger. You can see 2 items done for Viper. Does have his tier still stacking, wants to put that Muramana together, but that feels like a bit of a distant dream here, especially if we're talking about the context of a fight in 1.5 minutes on this next Dragon. There is that death cap that we were talking about here for Faker has now been built.
Show the 2-level lead, experience lead here for Doran into Zeus, but they both made the same impact in this game, which is basically nothing. So it doesn't actually necessarily matter when T1 are winning everywhere else, and it's the Vi Talia that got them back into this game so heavily. It's Zeus, you know, who's just kind of been taking the waves in the top lane, but they don't need him to win these fights necessarily. Hanwha Life aren't able to actually force fights on their terms or force T1 to take fights where they would really need Zeus on a flank, need Zeus to set up that CC. Just losing them front to back, as Doran hasn't really been impactful in this game either. We need to see Hanwha Life win a decisive 5v5 fight either on this Baron or on this Soul fight. Otherwise, I think T1 just win this one. It's really looking like they have firm control, and Hanwha Life, I need to see something big from them.
Certainly do. And we are now gearing up for this 4th Dragon of the game. 28 seconds until that one does spawn. T1 fresh off a reset. Hanwha Life looking to try and grab some more items for themselves as well. An Elixir of Iron in the back pocket for Doran. He knows this fight's going to be important. He's going to have to show why he was the one given the advantage in the early game.
Yeah, everyone is setting up for this, and I think a big thing with Hanwha Life, when they were having their successes early in the game, they were kind of chaining summoner burns together, you know, taking Faker's flash, taking Zeus' sums. Everything's up for T1, and when, you know, the Hanwha Life Esports composition wants to gap close, wants to commit these big ultimates like the Yone's, you really will feel frustrated if Guma simply flashes away from it. So I think this is definitely giving an edge over the T1. Hanwha Life Esports are on the objective.
Yeah, started this one up. Keria on a flank angle. We know that the wall can always come in, and there it is for Faker. He is not going to ride it through. He's just going to try and disrupt us. There is the Destiny Delight off on this side, but there is the engage from Keria. The seismic shove, and Viper is going to be wiped out. Sorry, Tessa has already gone down. The Drake is going to be secured, but that is sold for maybe just a team fight loss, as Faker will take down Doran. All of that money, meaning not that much, and T1, they'll look to the Baron.
And T1 never were really interested in the Dragon. They were interested in the team fight, and Hanwha Life just put Doran on the front line and said, you stand in front of 5 people so we can rush down this Chemtech Dragon. And T1 identified very quickly, this fight should be ours. Easy to take if Keria gets the engage. He does, and now they get more than just the team fight. They're looking for Baron.
Yeah, and you know, Peanut is still up and available, does have Flash, does have Smite. TP is available for Zeka and Doran, but the Baron is going down so fast.
It is. Peanut should be able to make it into the pit, but This is going to be a difficult 50-50 to win. He flashes forward and they just turn on him immediately. Taken down before the Baron's in range. That's going to be the secure. And T1 just level-headed the whole time. They'll take themselves their purple worm and now they'll look to take down the turrets.
And that is the prize they were looking for on the back of that dragon fight, now with a 5,000 gold lead. And this setup was so good, you know, the wall comes in for some disruption, but mainly Keria on this flank angle. And with everyone from Honor Life Esports in the pit, it's such a shooting gallery. They're not able to make the engage. Zeka gets deleted by that Vi combo, and then suddenly you only have Viper, you only have this poke Varus who's pumping damage into this Vi, isn't really doing that much, while Guma is free hitting the whole time. And here, the patience, they were waiting for Peanut to move forwards. Keria forces the flash with that knockup. He knows he dies if he eats it, but the Baron's health never even gets close to a smite range.
And you can see the problems in the composition here for Hanwha Life, you know, even with the setup they have, is Doran is a huge brick wall, but when you're playing Lethality Varus, you can't utilize that very much. It's not very easy to actually use Doran to get poke off, even when you have control over the objective. They just hunkered down on the dragon itself, but didn't leave themselves any outs. Viper doing very little damage in that fight, and T1 now with Baron here, ripping through these turrets.
The real difficulty at Weaver's Wall, just used there by Faker to stop the rotation over here for Hanwha Life Esports, but not really going to deter them too much. It is still 7,000 gold, approximately the lead here for T1. This amount of recovery, kind of unprecedented. There is a soul, which is still stats here for Hanwha Life, but T1 with the Baron, they should be able to get even more of these items. Seismic Shot going to be picked up once again, as Faker finds yet another one. That's a good Glacial Prism though onto Zeus. He's going to have to get out of there. The Unbound Soul gets Zeka back to safety as well, but now the re-engage. Delight looks for it, but he's just dead before he can do anything. And so T1 with 5-man strong, still with that Baron for another minute, and they've already gotten rid of the horse.
There's just not enough sustained damage in this composition for Hanwha, even with the re-engage. As you're looking at Poke Varus, you're looking at a Yone. There's no mage here that can just layer damage upon damage upon damage. There's no real AD carry, not traditionally anyways here for Viper. He's got to poke his way through.
Yeah, Seismic Shove is going to connect onto Doran as he teleports in. That is not the warm welcome that he was wanting, as he looks to try and help out his teammates. Looks to try and get out of there. Gumayusi taking matters into his own hands as the turret will be taken down. That is his prize in trade for his ultimate.
This is a point where it starts to look so suffocating for Honor Life Esports, where every time they're looking for this engage angle, they're just being marked, and it just feels like it's so hard. Someone goes in, but there's the Unraveled Earth, which blocks all those dashes. When they look for an angle, like look how hesitant we see Zeka being here. Immediately dashing back, he knows the threat that can come out from the opposite side. Oner goes for an ult on the Rel and it's completely fine, but everyone on Honor Life Esports knows if they step even a step too far, as we saw happen with Delight, you just get deleted. There's so much lockdown, so much preventative control for the side of T1, and when you're in a deficit, it is just suffocating.
All right, do you want the Hopium, guys?
Go on.
2 minutes. There is an Elder. And sometimes you just have to bring your spatula and see what you can get done.
Well, you know, this time, if Hanwha Life just grab onto that dragon and hold on tight, and see if Viper can layer that damage too with the smite, and they look for the 50-50 on that one. Maybe the Varus damage will come through with the Elder executes, but I'm going to be honest with you guys, I don't see it. I don't think they even get a chance to really contest too much if T1 play this well. They've already got vision set up so well all around this pit. Faker coming back with Crypt Bloom.
Oh man, that is a strong 3-item spike that he's hit right now.
It is just looking so rough.
The bigger thing for me is obviously we talked about Guma being given a lot of extra XP, but currently he's level 16. And Viper just hit level 14. Guma's the highest level in the game and nearly has 4 items completed. Was obviously hoping to get IE in before this dragon fight, but regardless, this Zeri is ridiculously strong.
Now, there's still 75 seconds to go before this dragon spawns, so you know, this mid push through here, some of this vision clear for Hanwha is useful and is very important to do. You know, cross your T's here, dot your I's as best as you can before this fight, but it's really going to be about how the fight occurs, how it actually stacks up, because as you mentioned, Zeri nearly on 4 items here, Guma so massively ahead. If you don't lock this guy down and kill him instantly, no one will ever match his damage. Not a Yone, not a Lethality Varus here, not in a straight up 5v5. If they could fight in neutral, if Viper can hit a few arrows here before the fight breaks out, especially onto Faker or Guma, there may be a world that's going to pick up that 4th item now. You have to imagine.
Yeah, just waiting the last couple of seconds here. I believe the Infinity Edge will be coming in though. And that is, Boris, where is it at, man?
Come on, hurry it up.
Oh my god, he's in the back room.
Guys, we've got a game going, please.
There it is.
Waiting. Oh, okay, it's going to be the quick blades that do come in. And of course, that is what's often seen alongside the Hurricane. I just get excited. I see a crit cloak and I see a BF sword, and my brain just says Infinity Edge.
It's locked in, you know, that's what you assume it's going to be. And now...
Oner, possibly with a bit of a face check here, will be taken out 2 seconds before the Elder!
And this is one of the issues, you know, they waited for the IE, but it took so much time, they didn't have presence on the map. Honor Life Esports set a trap, and because T1 are late there, Boris holding them back, it means they don't have a jungler now.
Yeah, they don't have a jungler, and now Doran can do his work, and this time, it makes sense to sit on Dragon and have Doran hold the angle here. Now he's gonna have to wrap around. No 50-50 with no smite.
Exactly, let's see what T1 can do. They're going to have to try and find this to avoid losing the Elder. There's a seismic shove, and they are going to even out the numbers. It's no Doran. Okay, survives for a very long time, but then does go down. There's the Elder now as they have the executed. Zeka finds him, and a 3-man shove from Faker is massive. And it's a double for Faker. They'll take a double as well for Gumayusi, and it's now only Viper left with this Dragon buff. And I don't think they care. Faker's just going to throw some rocks at him, and that's the ace.
And even Elder isn't enough. T1, they lose the Dragon. It seems like it's going to be doomed, but they handle the fight. They managed to lock them down. The health on Guma was so close to the execute threshold, but not quite there. And Viper just cannot do enough.
Viper can't do enough. He doesn't have the time. He's playing lethality bars here, and even with the miracle of Oner just stepping forward there and getting caught, Hanwha Life cannot take the Elder fight. They do end up getting the Dragon. It's a close one there, despite there being no enemy smite. Peanut secures it, but the engage is straight into a Talia. We talk about the value of those rocks, the shoves into a composition like this all the time. He ends up getting serious work done now. Hanwha Life to try to contest this Baron, but it's already gone.
Yeah, it's already gone. There's a lot of these champions for T1 can escape over the wall, as you can see. So they just burn double TP and don't get anything for it. The Elder buffs have all gone, and now T1 have an over 10,000 gold lead and a Baron in pocket. And see the replay. Doran just gets brutalized.
Yeah, Doran gets brutalized here, and so there's no front line anymore for when the Elder does go down. And Hanwha Life had to sacrifice him here to guarantee they can get this. And then when Delight's engage comes through, look at Peanut's follow-up here, and as Yone comes through, Faker, he's not caught. It's the triple shove into the knockup there from Keria. And without that passage of play, it's very likely Viper does get the damage done, hits another rotation of abilities, and then the Elder buff finishes them off. But Faker's positioning there so crisp, holds the angle. Zeka doesn't look for the one target, he wants 3, but it puts him and his team in Shove's range. And Hanwha Life dropped the ball there, 10,000 gold now behind.
And you know, Zeka was just so close to hitting Guma with that ultimate. And you know, he was so close to going down without that. It was an easy secure. I mean, I'm not sure that would have been enough with Zeus and Faker still standing, but definitely going to regret the positioning of that ultimate just a little bit off there. And now dealing with the Baron, we already saw how problematic this is for Honor Life Esports competition, but the lead has just gotten bigger.
Yeah, and now you've got the mid lane. They have taken care of it somewhat, but still super minions will be making their way down. And for the next minute and a half, T1 will be able to put on so much pressure. Twisted Fate already in there. All Q just barely going to go wide there for Doran, hunting for any sort of way to find themselves an advantage. But every single time we've been into a team fight, it's just been T1 the whole way through. The difference between this first game and the previous series that we saw from Hanwha Life Esports is night and day, as there is the Weaver's Wall from Faker. Just going to put that one up to try and get some more damage down. You can see Peanut just standing in front, trying to keep this turret alive, as Destiny going to be used here. Moves Zeus back into the mid lane as well, and he's just running Zeka around. And he can continue to get turrets.
He's playing a very low eco Twisted Fate very well until now. He actually has the eco. Now he has the lead. Is sitting on 3.5 items here, and is just being a side lane threat. We'll just go straight to top lane here. Rinse and repeat, and dealing with this Twisted Fate so frustrating here for Hanwha Life. Now Hanwha Life may be able to buy enough time here. This inhibitor's up in 2 minutes just before the Elder. They may get another opportunity to flip for Elder a second time, but I don't think they're going to get that lucky pick onto Oner. And the itemization, as you mentioned, and the gold lead here for T1 is so much larger than it was before. Once again, you gotta catch Guma. You gotta lock this guy down. He's got GA, you gotta kill him twice.
Yeah, he just got GA, and Faker just got Zonya's. Oner also has GA. There's a Mikhail's on Keria as well. The timing of the summoners are all coming back up. Guma's flash is gonna be up soon, Keria's flash is gonna come up soon. everything is stacked against Hanwha Life Esports right now. They really need a miracle situation.
They got one last time and it wasn't enough.
Yeah, it still wasn't enough there. You know, getting the Elder and still losing the fight. You know, it does happen occasionally when the team will get the Elder, they're so low on HP, but it just felt like even cards up, it just wasn't enough there.
Yeah, and when Faker hits a 3-man seismic shove, with the fact that everyone is melee on this Hanwha Life Esports squad, the Taliyah value is very high, but hitting those is not something that happens every day.
And I want to give credit to Guma, a player we often criticize for not playing Zeri. We don't criticize his play on it all too much. He hasn't looked as comfortable as players like Paze or Viper, right? But given the opportunity to play it here and giving the agency those 2 kills in the early game, and he has run away with it. His positioning has been good. He's deathless here in this game. Full itemization, as mentioned, level 18 now. And the guy has absolutely played this to a T. And I think shutting up a lot of the haters of people saying that this guy just can't play Zeri. He doesn't, but he will. And when he does, you know, in a critical best of 5 like this, he comes up big.
And, you know, it's Keria playing Rakan as well. I don't think he played Rakan once during the regular season either. This feels a little bit like a leaf out of Hanwha Life Esports' book as far as their favorite champions here on the bottom side. And T1 with a little bit of a anything you can do, we can do better in this particular game at least. Feels a little bit results-based, or what is it? What is it, Orcs?
Results-based?
Outcome-focused assessment.
Thank you. Outcome-focused
no, we don't do results-based analysis over here. Right?
No, we don't.
Only outcome-focused assessments.
Very against that, but yes, like you said.
And you're right.
Focused assessment, very, very good.
It's his first game of Rakan this season, and he's played so many. He's played 6 unique champions in playoffs. So it'll be his 7th.
Oh, okay. Oner looking for that opportunity. Gets into the back line. They dive on top of Viper. He's able to get himself out. Now 1v1ing and he finds it against Zeus, the ulti. And Viper's still alive. He finds the double kill. Oner's going to be the next to go down. Into the GA is now Doran is just playing bodyguard. And T1, they couldn't do it. They killed him so many times. Oner again. That time they weren't able to get there.
Oner again is picked here before the Elder, and it's a really nice fight here for Hanwha Life, but they get a second miracle. They get a second lease on life here.
How many do they need?
I mean, we already wrote the obituary.
Yeah.
We were memeing about Keria and stuff. We were talking about Gumayusi.
I mean,
I was ready for game 2.
They threw so much at Viper. I think they just expected him to die, and I'm going to be honest, I did too. He got my ulted, he got Rakan ulted, he flashes away for a TF to turn onto him, and he just manages to fight his way out. It's crazy that he ends up living this, but we see him end up getting the Edge of Night procced here. They throw all the CC onto him, the flash is good, and then this loses the 1v1 there, but then look at Zeka, the ult comes in, the CC, the peel, just in time to save him.
The re-engage there from Delight as well, and I really just don't feel like you have to pick the Varus in this composition. You can slow play this, you got a Taliyah burn through that health on Doran, push Delight back in front to back it. You have a full item build Zeri, who's extremely fed, level 18 has been for a while. Rely on your comp. You don't have to pick just because you have Vi. You can, but this comp is so good at re-engage, was what we talked about in the draft. I didn't think it was going to be relevant in this game because T1 had a 10,000 gold lead, but now the tables have turned in Hanwha Life. They minimize that gold lead a little bit, but they're going to get a decent amount of map control out of this Baron and Elder. With all these turrets still up, it's not game ending, but Hanwha Life back in the driver's seat.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get a lot off this, but
this is Exodia. They've picked up everything. I mean, we forgot about the Soul. Because that was years ago.
The big thing, though, is that T1 pushed all the waves out as much as they can. There's only a minute 15 on the Elder. They haven't even taken mid-tier 1 yet, so they don't actually have that much time to make use of these. They really need to start knocking on towers as quick as possible, and T1 have space to give, you know? Obviously, losing towers is never great, but it's going to be a while before they start getting up to your inhibitor towers. If they can thin out the wave, you know, they have Taliyah, they have the W from Zeri to help out. They might be able to defend their inhibitors, at least until the Elder drops.
Yeah, got to be so careful about trying to look for an engage here as T1. Don't think it's going to be well fated for Keria just because of that Elder burn. Going to get executed so quickly if he gets hit by a few of these arrows from Viper. And he's so careful about looking for a flank. Keria's fishing.
We have to remember as well that T1, they don't have a lot of range either as far as defending against these Baroned up siege minions. Not something that we've had to talk about really either, as Hanwha Life will now move towards this inner turret.
Zeus is splitting.
We are getting back to even territory as the Weaver's Wall is going to be just elected into. Faker not going to be able to convince them not to break open the base. As like you say, it could be a trade of inhibitor turrets, but Homolife Esports, it doesn't look like they're stopping as this Elder is still ticking down. Another 5 seconds on that one. They find the engagement and they blow off Faker. Into the back line goes Keria. He tries to find that quickness, but he's permanently frosted and taken down. The deletion on 2 members, is that enough for the end of the game? I don't think so. As Homolife Esports, they don't think so either.
Yeah, so many cooldowns burned there. They have to respect the Zeri. Guma's still such a threat. With Flash available, with GA available, they will actually look to reset the back of this. Doran's going to TP in. They want to look for the end.
They want to end. They want to end. They don't want to deal with that Weaver's Wall anymore, or rather the flip.
Oh, no, they find the engagement! Able to get out of there though is Zeus. He did have that flash available as there's the teleport back in. Oner is going to be CC'd as well as he's going in, but he's by himself. T1 are just running in one after the other. The Destiny is going to be popped, but I think their Destiny is 1 dead Nexus and 0-1 in the series. Homolife Esports were down 11,000 gold, and they will kill the Nexus here in Game 1.
You know what? I think I'll take 5 of these, please.
Yes,
please.
please.
They take it in the end.